Welcome to another Draftbit office hour. This is our Thursday office hour. Hello in the comments. It's a Thursday one. We have one on Tuesday as well. So we have 2 office hours every week where we answer any questions that the community might have, both here live. So people have this little widget called Ask a Question. They can ask a question there and I'll answer them right now. Or if you go to the community website, which is community.draftbit.com, you can also ask a question there. There's an Ask for Help section, or space as they call it, where you can ask any question. And we have a team of folks, including myself, who answer those questions all day long. And sometime, if we didn't have time to go through them, we do it during this office hour. So that's another purpose of this office hour. Okay. We're back on Crowdcast. We've been experimenting with the Circle live stream feature. We ran into a few issues. I really wanted to work the Circle one, but those issues are just a tiny bit too much for us to fully transition right now. So we're gonna keep trying both, I guess, until Circle gets really good, and then we'll transition. Okay. Let's see. There's a couple of stuff I was going to say. Oh, yeah. March 24, 205. So we can get started. No live questions so far. So while I give people a chance to join, I'll share my screen and we're going to start looking at the Ask for Help questions. So let me just move stuff around a little bit so I can share my screen. Yeah, I should be able to do. So here it is. Ask for help. Screen recording. Why is Google Chrome not? I will never understand. Am I gonna have to reload? All right, folks. I'm gonna have to rejoin in a sec. Give me 1 sec. Okay, here I am. I can't tell if I'm still live or not. I'm going to assume I am. Yeah, in broadcast. All right, so I think it might have hopefully saved everything I said before, so I'm not going to repeat myself. All right, so now hopefully I can share my screen. Let's give it a sec. Yay, create a close message. Okay, so let's look at the Ask for Help section. This is me. Typically, everything that has a green checkbox has been resolved. So I'm assuming those have been resolved. This is an interesting one that we're starting to see a lot more these days. One of these days, it's always been kind of an ongoing thing, but I want to touch on it for a sec. So Art asked a little bit about the compliance. When you put your app in the App Store, and particularly at first into test flight, it's going to ask you, it's going to say missing compliance as the first thing you're going to see. So you have to go through 4 questions, at least in the US, to provide information about your app, just to be compliant with kind of security and other policies in place. And so maybe I'll show you what it looks like. So I've actually, let's see if I can show you what that looks like. So this is my App Store Connect account. Right before, like this morning, I submitted an app, which for people who are not familiar, so when you're in Draftbit, you can click publish, and if you have set up your App Store account, you'll be able to click publish here. So you'll click publish, and then you have to wait, and then if everything goes well, eventually it'll show up in your App Store account. Give it a sec. So here, that would be typically that's the app I published this morning. So it should show up in my test flight. And here it is. So yours will show up here as well, assuming everything goes well, which it should. And the first thing you're going to see is this missing compliance, like I said. So what you want to do is go through those steps, which I'm going to go through right now. So before I say anything else, the most important thing to remember is that you should answer truthfully about what your app is doing. So don't take everything I'm about to say as a requirement like this. I'm not telling you you should say yes or no. I'm giving you context so you can make the right decision about your specific app. So you do not want to provide incorrect information to the App Store. So take a sec yourself to read those questions, to understand what they're about, and to answer truthfully. We can be responsible for whatever you put in there that's outside of the Draftbit kind of environment. So you really, you have to put the right information in there. That said, I want to give you a little bit of context on, so for me, first question is, does your app use encryption? And my app does, because it's connecting to a few backend like Xano, and it's using HTTPS to connect to that. So in that sense, it's using encryption. So I'm going to just say yes. If yours also use encryption, do say yes. If not, say no. Does your app qualify for any of the exemption provided below? So there's actually an internal debate Draftbit right now. So you would have to make your own opinion. There are kind of ways to read that question. My understanding of it so far, but I'm happy to be proven wrong, so really don't take that as a requirement, is that you're only exempt, so I should only click yes if I fall in those categories. So if my app is designed for medical end use, or if it's limited to authentication. So if the encryption I'm using is limited to, sorry, not even the encryption. If my app is limited to those authentication, then I should say yes. My app does use encryption for authentication, like I said with Xano and the use of HTTPS, but it does not only do that. It also does other stuff, like other non-authentication related requests. So for that reason, I feel that I should say no. I'm not exempt of those compliance regulation. But look at the doc, correct me if I'm wrong, because again, internally we have other ways. We have folks who read that slightly differently. So I could be definitely wrong on this one. Anyway, moving forward, does your app implement any encryption algorithm? So that at first that I wasn't sure about that, but the key word here is, does your app implement any algorithm? Unless you do implement encryption algorithm in custom code or custom function or custom packages, all that. Otherwise, Draftbit does not implement those algorithms. Like I said, in some case, it might be using them for the HTTPS, but it's not. We're definitely not implementing new ones. So as far as Draftbit is concerned, I'm not implementing any encryption algorithm. Again, yours might be different if you do implement those in your custom code. Does your app implement any standard? Same thing. They're talking about a different set of algorithms, but the answer remains the same because I'm not implementing any of them. Okay, so then I'm essentially done. I've done yeah, look at the doc again, make sure you're doing everything right. And then when you answer those 4 questions, then you can start the internal testing. So you should go from missing compliance to now ready to submit. And the next step for as far as the App Store is concerned is if you give it a minute, a few minutes probably, it will show up for all your internal testing users. So in my case, I only have myself. But if if you have a few more, they should show up there. And then you can also kind of submit to a broader group. So, I have a group for Draftbit, which is my coworkers at Draftbit, so I can turn that on too, but I'm not going to do that right now. And that's it. That will let you test it. And when it's tested, then you can push it to the App Store. That's a different discussion. So yeah, hopefully that will answer Art's question, or at least if not answer it, provide some context around how you should think about the compliance questions. That's it. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna make a little note. We provide, that way you'll know we talked about it. We provided some context about it during today's office hour. I'll share the recording shortly. Okay, now go back to ask for help. What's another question? How about this one? Parameters not showing up in a dropdown. I think this might have already been answered, or look like there is a good back and forth between Dave and Caleb. It looks like, let me see at a high level if I can answer. I'm trying to locate the parameter prop detail player among other things. It's not, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. This custom function. Oh. My first impression based on the question is that the key you were trying to look for was prop details dot player as part of the key, and we've run into issue if there is a dot in part of the inside the key, which is very, very uncommon, but it's not exactly what it sounds like you're doing here. So let's see if you made those changes. Yeah, so I don't have necessarily much to add more than what Dave was talking about. So I'm gonna let them handle this one. Hopefully they're in the right direction. Let's see, what else do we have? Maybe I'll go back to that if I have a little bit more time. And we have answered everything. Look at those. All right, well, you know what? Because we've answered everything, maybe I will take a deeper look at Caleb's question. All right. Although I guess I can do it. I wish you wish was here because we could look at his app. I don't think I can. I don't want to like variables, prop players. So what is? Are you using role and object type with different point? If so, did you recently change what's with them? Okay, so a couple of things. The role get min is probably correct. The object type IDs are, you should probably code it. It probably should not be ID. Like the goal of object type is you tell us what entity you're working with. So is it in your case, is it a bet or is it a specific sport or a specific event, and those are the words like events, sports, bets, because then that gives us the entity. And so when we know that when you change one bet, one event somewhere, that all the other bets, all the other events or sports and all should be updated just to reflect that change to one. So that's how we connect kind of the get many and the get one. Changes to one should be reflected in when you display all of them. So probably a better name would be in this case. I mean, I'm not exact. I think it's bets that you're looking at. So that would probably be my assumption here. I recently changed the ID. So I recently changed the ID so that the prop details will not be null. Change the ID so that the prop detail. Oh yeah, if the prop detail is null, the schema was probably not updated, as Dave implies. Yeah. So try to do what Dave said. Save it just to make sure we've collected the right schema. And I think beyond that, it's going to be an app specific. So I don't think I can help a ton with that. Okay. I feel like there were a couple of questions that came throughout the week that were not reflected in the community site. What was it? Push notification? I'll talk a little bit about push notification when I'm here because I think someone asked about that too. So here's one thing that we have released. We haven't announced it broadly yet, so you might not have heard of it, but we've released something new that lets you collect a push token, kind of an ID that you can then save in your backend and use to send folks push notification. So here's how it works. I'm going to create a new app. So now when the screen loads, which by the way, we've released that a few weeks ago, we have this on-screen focus. So when the app launches or when someone comes back to that screen, you can run a few actions there. So one action we're going to run is that new one that's at the bottom here, get Expo Push Token. And essentially it's going to tell you, you're going to give it a name. We're going to say Push Token. Okay. And then, yeah, I'm going to save that to a variable. So I'm going to create myself a little screen variable that's going to be called Push Token. Okay, it's a string. Okay, so now in addition to getting it, I can save it. I can save it to that push token, the result of the action. You can see because we break it down to category, this is the push token that comes from the action result, from my action stack, and this is the push token variable that comes from the screen variable that I've created. So I want to put the action one into the screen variable. Anyway, that's what it looks like. So now I've saved it. I can show it on the page. Push token. Okay. Now the thing with push token is that they're meant for your real device, right? So if I were to preview that, what you guys won't necessarily see is that I'm actually getting a message saying, like right now, I have a little pop-up in front of my screen that I don't think you guys can see. It says failed to get push token for push notification, again, because I'm not using a real device, so I can't get that token. You can configure that message for what it's worth. Here, I don't know if you noticed, but there's like a failure message and device message, so you can use those. But if you were to use Expo Go, for example, which I'm hoping I have available quickly on this phone, let's find out. I did not prepare for that, so we'll see if we can do it quick. I have an iPhone here, and if I launch the Expo Go app, which lets you preview what you're doing live. Oh, no, not what to do. All right, camera, I get the QR code, I launch the Expo Go app, and what it's going to do after it's loaded is that it should be prompting me. Takes a sec to load. Okay, all right, not even a need for prompt because I must have already accepted it in the past. So you probably cannot see, but like there is the actual push token right there. And it's a string of text that I can display on the screen. What I want to do, this is, by the way, for those who are not familiar with push token, this is the identifier, like the ID that I'm going to use to know who to send the push notification to. So that's kind of a way to identify your phone, if you will. But what I really want to do after I've received this thing is probably going to do an API request and send the results to a backend. So then I'm going to have my backend. I'm going to have a list of push tokens specific to users. So that's essentially step one, is get the push token from my user. Step two, which I probably won't cover here, but I'll do a bigger demo about push notification when we announce it. But step two is to then use, there is, for example, a service. I can show it to you guys. If you type Expo Push Notification, by the way, that's what we use. There is a way, there's an Expo Push Notification tool. So once you have that push token I was just talking about, you can say hello world and send that, and you will send it to the user of your app that you collected the push token from. If you don't want to use that service, because that's very manual and it's one by one, there is also kind of an API. So if I can find it, yeah, here it is. So, you can automate all of that. This is kind of the endpoint of the service. So if you want to send like 500 notification, you can just do it automatically through this endpoint instead. And you still have to pass it the Expo push token that you will have saved in your backend. So that's kind of at a very high level, kind of how you will handle push notification. Again, I'll do a longer video when we announce it, but just for now, know that we have this brand new action called Get Expo Push Token, which is very cool. Okay, that's pretty enough for push notification. Let's see. Give me one sec. I'm going to try to see if there's another question that we had throughout the week that we didn't get a chance to answer. There's been a few people emailing okay, never mind that question. I think we've already answered. And it was... Oh, wait, let me put it on the screen so you guys can see it. So there was that question that apparently was asking, I would like to integrate push notification, try the guide. I also read this. My understanding is that it's impossible to integrate push notification while only staying in Draftbit. We need to export the code and then build and publish the app using, is that correct? So that's not correct. The export code is only available starting with your pro plan. Does it mean that you have to pay? Okay, different question. So we already covered it a little bit. When we covered it in February, the solution was to use low code, to write your own custom function to do exactly what I just did here in my app. So that thing used to be, that action used to be a few lines of code. Now we have a way to do that with no code, as I just presented. So I'll post again this video to that post, because I think I heard from Simon. I don't think I don't think he was able to unblock himself with that previous answer. So let's see if this one helps a little bit more. And again, I'll probably do I should do like a A to Z example of a push notification when we announce it. That would be good. Hopefully that'll be helpful. Okay. Let's see if we have anything else. I think that's it for you. That's all we've got. I'm gonna call it. It's gonna be a short office hour today, and it's okay. If you do have any questions in the future, put them in Ask for Help in community, and we'll do our best to answer it either in the community site or during the next office hours. And with that, I wish you all a fantastic day. Bye.